Today we rather spontaneously decided to leave Skjervøy for a day and to go in a quite spectacular place. We think it's a place called Jøkelfjord, and on the very bottom of that fjord there is a small glacier. Now I think in ancient times you could probably see the glacier just going right into the sea. At the moment, or today, with all the melting globally that has happened, there is a glacier and there is some snow, but we don't know how much snow or how much glacier there actually is at the end. So we try to go and see. Until the mid-1960s, Øksfjordjøkelen, the Øksfjord Glacier, reached down to the sea level, and until the 1950s the fishermen used its ice to cool their catch. We wondered what has been lost of this wonder of nature to global warming. Ja, ein bisschen, ja. Vorher haben wir das Gefühl, dass sie eigentlich relativ warm, aber jetzt geht es schon ein bisschen kühl hinführen, ja. This is absolutely stunningly beautiful. Try to imagine how much of the glacier has already gone down. You can clearly see here that V here. That was the glacier a couple of decades ago probably, and now it's just the remains up there. It's the 9th largest glacier of Norway, and it's just absolutely beautiful. You can only get here by boat. There's no street, no path even. The nearest houses are 1.5 miles out. There's just birds, wildlife and the glacier. Fantastic. But now just listen to this raw power of nature. Can go quite close here, so we're at the moment in 85 meters of water and we're quite close. So you see the rocks in front of us, that's where it really gets shallow, and from here to down there there's some fish. Look at it. Wow. What kind of fish are these? I think I should go and try.
They look small.
It's really deep here. We're in about 85 meters of water here, and then it gets shallow very steeply, but only about where these rocks are over there. That's where the water is it's below 5 meters. The Øksfjord Glacier is a shield glacier that spreads over a relatively flat terrain like a shield. It used to be the only glacier on mainland Europe that directly calved into the sea. Sadly, this no longer happens, as the glacier has lost a very significant part of its volume in the past decades. This huge glacier discharges its water into 4 different fjords. Now think back to the water roaring into the Jøkelfjord and multiply this by 4. As everywhere, glaciers in the far north too lose their volume at an alarming rate. It is estimated that Scandinavia's glaciers will lose 60 to 80% of their ice by 2021. even without further warming. It's a quick and early start today. We're leaving Jøkelfjord. We overslept a bit, we didn't hear the alarm, so we got up at 7:30 and it's now 8 o'clock I think, and we're off, so that's quite a good start. We'll see how far we go today, maybe just back to Skjervøy, maybe we take another jump. We'll see how the weather develops. It's a bit iffy today. The forecast talks about possible thunderstorms in the area, and looking at the sky actually, how quickly these clouds have developed, I think there's quite some energy in the air.
And it's also quite warm, huh?
It's quite warm already, so it might well be that we see some thunderstorms later today. We shall see. That's why we want to be back in Skjervøy, or have the option to be back in Skjervøy quite quickly. We shall see how the weather develops. The place was really nice, highly recommended here as a base if you want to go and visit the glacier here. Absolutely fantastic, and it's a super nice place, and the people here are also super nice. It's fantastic. Just looked at the newest weather forecast on ur.no. They're talking about now thunderstorms starting at around 11 or 12. That's just when we should be back in Skjervøy. I increased the speed a bit, so we're dashing there. We're now making around 7.5 knots. There's not a lot of wind, it's motoring. The ground wind is 0 or almost 0, and then we can see it over there a bit. There's gusts coming in, that's from the weather, that's over there. The gusts are so far about 15-16 knots, so, but it's very unstable, so we're past the motoring at the moment. Looking over there, it still looks good, or it looks good again, so it's quite local where these rainfalls at the moment are, and we'll see how it develops. But when we got up at 7:30, the sky was more or less blue, and now the sky is more or less grey. That little rain shower quickly passed. There were a few drops that we got, nothing major, no big wind gusts, but looking around, I think over there up in the sky the next one is brewing, so I think that's probably going to continue during the afternoon, and we're going to just pull into Skjervøy, spend the afternoon there, and then tomorrow the weather should be nice again. I think this unstable weather situation is likely to be over tomorrow, so we should have nice weather, and I think tomorrow we're going to go back to Tromsø. And then, all of a sudden, and against the forecast, the weather sheds its bad temper and becomes nice and friendly again. However, as it is often the case up here, the wind remains elusive. And here's a big shout out to our fantastic subscriber base. By the time this video goes live, we will have reached 3,000. For those who have not yet subscribed to our channel, make yourself a rock star, subscribe and help us reach 10,000. Good morning. It is 7:30 in the morning on a Saturday, and we just slipped the lines over there at the pontoon in Skjervøy. We're on our way to Tromsø. It's 53 nautical miles today, so about 8 hours, 8-9 hours, depending on the tide a bit. Tide should be with us. We're actually almost at high water, so it's going down, and when it's going down, the tide drives us towards Tromsø, so that's not bad. Sun's up. The sky is slightly overcast with some high altitude cirruses, and over there's some clouds as well, but we should be fine. Maybe in the second half of the afternoon there will be some showers, but until then the weather forecast looks good. No wind, it will be all motoring again, but we got used to that. It's good getting my daily dose of caffeine. And whilst we are motoring towards Tromsø, as usual on a Saturday morning, Catherine is holding her online workout class with friends. We have quite some current against us, so we see a boat speed here of 6.7, but through the water it's only 5.6. So that means we have some tidal current against us. Looking at this situation here, I believe what's happening is that there is actually the current coming from here, but because it's so narrow in this area, the current is actually deviated into here and into here. So there's a big, I think, turbulence going on here, and I would expect that as soon as we have passed probably here, which is seems to be the narrowest part, that will change and we will be pushed through again. Let's see. Now look what's happening. We are just at the narrowest part here now, and we are already at 6 knots, tendency increasing, so I think that's really what has happened. I think we will get in a favorable tide again very soon. We might have been better off actually going more in the middle of that bay here instead of right on the southern end, because obviously here on the dune here the tides I think seem to be stronger than going right through the middle. Doing 6.1 now. We're now through this narrow part here, and we see that the GPS speed is 6.8, so we're faster again than we're going through the water. We've been slightly pushed by a tide. It took longer actually in here than I thought. There's definitely some more complex things going on in this area, but that's normal in an area where we see so many islands and the tide generally pushing this way, so there will be lots of big scale tidal turbulence in here. Very slow, but we can feel it in the water speed and in the speed the vessel does over ground. In the distance over there with that glacier, and then there's more glaciers down there. This area is called the Lingen Alps. It must be very beautiful. We hope to be able to visit. It must be absolutely fantastic to ski in the winter as well. It looks stunning. I think way in the distance, that's an island called Årøya, the Birds Island. Quite some current against us here, well, about a knot or so. I thought it might be more. Just about a knot as we're going underneath the bridge. It's very shallow here, it's only about 8-10 meters. And quite narrow, so there's a lot of water going through, and that's why there's so much current. After this absolutely stunning trip to Jøkelfjord and the Øksfjord Glacier, we are back in Tromsø to pick up our friends. And with this, it is also clear that this year we will not make it to Hammerfest and the North Cape. With the continued weak winds, motoring another 250 to 350 nautical miles is just not an idea we can possibly entertain. Bra. Klapp i. Good morning everyone. It's the 1st of August, which is the Swiss National Day. So it's a special day, and for a special day we also have special guests on board. We have Nora and Thomas, our good old friends from Switzerland, visiting us for 10 days. And we're just on the way from Tromsø to Kvænangen Fjord. We bunkered some diesel down there and now we're off. It's 55 nautical miles. So this evening we should be in a nice place, an island with a bay and a sauna cabin. Oh, look that! Look that! Barely on the way, we have to make our first stop. On top of Thomas's to-do list is to catch a fish, possibly a really big one. One to outdo the trophies of his son, who is really an ambitious amateur fisherman. Here, size really matters. Unfortunately, it turns out that this is the spot where we catch the smallest fish ever since we have been in Norway. Or is it perhaps also a question of skills and abilities?
Wie lasse ich runter?
Einfach loslassen jetzt, kleine loslassen. Du spürst, wenn sie locker wird, wenn sie am Boden unten ist. Du musst vielleicht ein bisschen bremsen, dass wenn sie so tut, ist einer da, jetzt musst du runterklappen. So, und jetzt kannst du die Hände nicht an. Und jetzt tust du runter und dann lernen wir runtergehen und jetzt tust du kurbeln.
In welche Richtung so?
Ja. Zuckt's.
Zuckt's? Nein. Doch, noch, er kann sicher rein.
Ja, schau mal.
Aber ein kleines. Leck, ist das schnell gegangen. Ui. Oh, super. Jetzt musst du den Haken wegnehmen, weil er zu klein ist.
Also, ein Köder am...
Ja.
Ja, warte, ich nehme das drauf. So, ich nehme das drauf. Ganz klein. Of course, Nora and Catherine also want to participate in this competition. Everyone was successful, but size-wise, this spot is a disappointment. But anyway, fish is not planned to be on the menu for the 1st of August. Hollywood werden. Ja.
Aber ich habe einen gefangen. Der erste.
Catherine's catch.
Schön.
Gut.
Ja.
With your hand on your heart, please tell me which way to go, 'cause I sure don't know. So I take my love and hide it away from those who steal till I find my way. How will I call?
Our safety briefing seems to have an effect. It's very good to see Nora keeping her center of gravity low and using both of her hands to hold on. From the sailing instructions we know that the entry into the bay will be a bit tricky. It is narrow and shallow, and in the middle there are some daunting rocks to be avoided. Therefore, Catherine is keeping a visual lookout on the bow.
Oh, please tell me, will I call?
My small bushcraft folding saw is a miserable tool to cut logs of this size. But Thomas's complaint about the lack of a proper chainsaw on Polaris sparks an idea. Problem solved. Noch mehr Holz?
Nein, mehr braucht es nicht. Also jetzt haben wir definitiv genug. Zu,
And feast. That's how Swiss celebrate the 1st August. Kind of. It's very traditional.
I think for what we had as a raw material to make it, it's actually perfect. I wouldn't run far in Switzerland for it, but here it's fantastic.
Okay.
Don't look at me like that, Captain.
Real national holiday. Very good.
Ist das das erste Augustbier oder ist das das erste
Sehr
Augustbier?
schön. Jetzt müssen wir noch die Gitarre holen und ein
Earlier on, I mentioned the sauna cabin on this island. And this is no lie. There is a sauna cabin with a log burner and it is open to the public. You collect your own wood, light the burner and wait until it's hot in there. The simple reason for why we have no pictures is that we Swiss tend to sit in a sauna on our towels just as God created us. Naked, that is. But showing this would be against YouTube's policy. Join us next time when we sail out of the fjords into the wild Arctic Ocean, visit the world's northernmost distillery, make a hike in the Lingen Alps, and stop in the picturesque ancient trading post of Hamnes.